Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Susan Lopresti Wellness, Mind, Body, and Soul, the podcast where we explore the highs, the lows, and everything in between when it comes to a woman's life, her health, and all aspects of navigating the midlife landscape. I'm your host, Susan Lopresti, and today I have a very special guest with me, Dr. Deborah Zucker. And I just want to read a little bit about her bio because I met her online and I am so intrigued with her work and her book. And I just knew that I had to have her on my podcast to talk to my audience. So let me just tell you a little bit about Dr. Deborah. She is a compassionate and experienced guide for individuals that are navigating life's most intense transitions. As a naturopathic physician, mental health counselor, health coach, and award-winning author of the Vitality Map, Deborah offers transformative women's circles, virtual coaching and counseling, retreats, and her signature program, Vital You. With her guidance, clients consciously design their unique transformation, embracing freedom and confidence and ease as they learn to follow their heart towards healing and renewal. So, without further ado, Dr. Deborah, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thanks so much, Susan. I'm really happy to be here.
Oh, great. I am too. I'm excited. Like I mentioned before we started recording, I've been reading your book and I was up to like 1:30 in the morning and I've been reading it all morning and it's just incredible. So let's start with you telling me what prompted you to write this book and what was your early journey as you became a doctor?
Yeah, well, I hadn't had a calling to become a doctor, so the book and my profession has all been born from my own healing journey. When I was in my early 20s, seemingly out of nowhere, I spiraled down into a deep fatigue and depression and host of other symptoms that sort of felt like my life came to a standstill. And it was my own exploration into different forms of medicine and healing that led me to become a naturopathic physician and then later a mental health counselor and coach. And my own healing journey kind of paralleled the professional journey. So as I was in my training and as I stepped into the shoes of being a doctor, my healing journey came along with it. And I kept having this question of what is missing from the conversation? What is not being talked about that I'm discovering in my own healing is actually essential and foundational to what actually is allowing me to come back into my fuller vitality and well-being. And so that prompted the book and is at the heart of the work that I do.
Right. So basically, you healed yourself
I
just
had a lot of
going
help
through.
along the way. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't want to paint the picture of healing myself because I really think it's so important for us all to lean in to the support that we need. So I had teachers and guides and mentors along the way. But what happened was I just kept watching, like, what is it that's really making a difference?
Hmm.
'Cause the different protocols and the diets and the lifestyle changes, all of that mattered. But what I discovered was that what was missing was what was underneath all of that, the deeper relationship with myself and how I was guiding myself through my life and how I was even orienting around self-care. And that actually was never, that wasn't being taught to
No.
me.
Right.
And yeah, so it just feels like, and I've come to call it basic life skills that we were never taught. And, it feels like some of it is as we get into these 9 keys that I outline in my book, like some of it feels to me like so basic and so simple. And yet it can feel revolutionary because it wasn't modeled for us. It's not part of our general conversation around health.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And I was reading in the beginning of your book where you're talking about women and how we are, you know, we're nurturing so many other people in our lives, and we completely and totally ignore our own needs and our own desires and what we're looking for. And I find that I think that actually it's ingrained in us since we're little girls, because it kind of reminds me of, when you're a little girl, you're playing with dolls and you're taking care of your babies. And then as you're getting older, you meet your significant other and then you're nurturing them. And then your children come along and you're nurturing them. And we just totally forget about who we are and what we need. And so this book really had me on the edge of my seat, because it just brings to life what we just suppress, and we don't even realize why we're agitated and why we're losing our patience and unhappy, and everyone gets on our nerves. And the reason is that we're not nurturing ourselves first, and we feel like it's a selfish thing to do, when in reality it's exactly what's needed. Do you agree with that?
Wholeheartedly with
Okay.
everything you just said. Yeah, it breaks my heart, but it's true.
Yes.
It's like we're enculturated that way, and I think there's also a very natural expression of our nurturing, and to not deny that there is something so fulfilling in nurturing and caring for others. And if we're not filling our own well, if we're not starting with the nurturing right here for our own being, then we're going to become depleted. And like you were just speaking to, some of the symptoms of that, it's like we get exhausted, chronic illness comes along, we're stressed out, we're not able to show up in our relationships with the nurturing care that we would like. And we just feel stretched thin
Yes.
and just feel like something has to give, like this isn't sustainable. But it can feel baffling of like, well, what do I do about that? Like how do I shift this patterns? We can feel so stuck in all the responsibilities and care that we're extending.
And so that's where your book comes in, because your book really lays it out fully as to what we should be doing. And, a lot of it, as I was reading, because I didn't get into the depth of each of the layers, but, when you outline them a little bit in the beginning, I was like, this is all common sense stuff that deep down, we probably all know, but we just overlook it because we're not thinking about ourselves.
Mhm.
So I guess that's the reason why you decided to write the book. So start telling us about these transformative strategies, let's say, that are just common sense that we should be doing, and how it's going to revolutionize how we feel and how we interact with our loved ones and our bosses and everybody else who we're, feel responsible to take care of.
Yes. Well, I love how you just introduced that because to me it's like just thinking about how like with the foundation of a house, like if your foundation is not stable, if you haven't taken the time to really anchor it in and create a solid foundation, the house is gonna fall down, or it'll lean to the side. So if we think about that for ourselves too, what the 9 keys in the Vitality Map do is allow us to cultivate that foundation in a very conscious,
Mm-hmm.
intentional way. And I like the imagery of a map because I think of each of the keys as like a stake in the ground, sort of marking these different aspects of our lives and our well-being that need attending. And it's not a quick fix, this path, because it's about like an ongoing cultivation for the rest of our lives. So, as an example, the first key is called honoring your unique life. And this is about shifting our fundamental orientation towards ourselves, where we choose to cultivate an awareness that we're mortal,
Mm-hmm.
not just as like an occasional remembrance of that when we've had a loss or someone, yeah, close to us dies, but it's like day to day. I am mortal. I do not know how many more days or weeks or years I'm going to be here. And with that awareness comes an acknowledgement of the preciousness of this life each and every day. And that I matter, that this body being, I'm here to take responsibility for, not as a burden, because I think so many of us can end up feeling like our self-care is a burden. It's this heavy, it becomes another to-do list.
Yes.
that we're trying to live up to these expectations, but instead we can orient towards like it's an honor to take care of this life. No one else is here to do it. I am utterly unique. No one else is ever going to be me in this whole unfolding life. And to actually orient our self-care from that. I get to take care of this life and to do so with reverence. And so it shifts how we even think of self-care.
Yes, it changed the whole perspective when I read that. And I was thinking, yeah, we are on automatic pilot most days. And we don't, think about even the miracle of our heart beating and our breath and everything that goes on inside that we don't pay attention to. It's just automatic and we take it for granted. But if you sit back and think about it for a second, it's like, wow, it's an incredible, miraculous machine that we should be honoring and taking better care of. So that that's where I was pulled in immediately.
Mhm. Yeah, it wakes us up. It's like, oh, right. Yes.
Yes,
Right. Amazing. Like,
right.
yeah.
And
Like even
it's not
when,
rocket science, it's just a reminder that we don't think about, that to really honor the miracle that we are.
yes. Yeah. And it takes practice. It's sort of like a meditation. It takes practice to keep bringing our attention back to that when we go into autopilot or we take life for granted.
Right.
Yeah. 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 And so I could just keep talking about
Yes, go.
here.
I want you to
Okay.
go
Yeah.
through all the steps.
Okay. Yeah. So then key number two is called facing and embracing your shadows. And that one is an acknowledgement, that most of us have probably been baffled in our attempts at creating new habits, of sustaining the changes we seek and how we're caring for ourselves, because we might have these great intentions and then we just watch ourselves self-sabotage or sort of get distracted. And and again, this can build up, the voices of self-judgment, the feelings of shame and inadequacy. We personalize it like there's something wrong with us because we can't care for ourselves in the ways that we want to.
Mhm.
Because the truth is, most of us have a good idea of the things that, yeah, could support our well-being. It's just a matter of doing it. And so this key is acknowledging something that I think is really missing in the conversation around health and self-care. It's that, as Jung says, we have these shadow parts, these parts that are running the show that we're not fully conscious to. And sometimes these are, traumatized parts from the past or, early wounding or things that were modeled for us that we're just repeating that we are not really conscious of. I mean, these are things that can get handed down through the generations to
Yeah.
us, and yet we find ourselves acting them out. And so this key is about acknowledging the importance of getting underneath to begin to get to know these shadow parts, these parts that have been disowned and sort of shoved down that we haven't been able to accept and own or even really acknowledge.
So
And
how do we get, because I know a lot of trauma is you don't know what it is really, right? So how do you get to the point of knowing and correcting your behavior?
yeah, this key is one that often needs the support of others because it can be really hard to see what we can't see, to
Yes.
have a sense that it's there. But there are some clues that can point to when it's acting out. Like I was just saying, like if we have these patterns of avoidance or self-sabotage, you can know that there's something going on underneath that. So even just starting there and being curious, like, what is it that's going on? And to maybe listen, is there a particular part or voice that gets activated? And sometimes it can be like, oh, that's my critical voice. Or that kind of sounds like my mom, or this, yeah, the one who's always trying to get it right, or we all have different voices or parts inside of ourselves, and I'm really thankful that these days that orientation to psychotherapy and healing is becoming more in the mainstream. So things like internal family systems or voice dialogue, there's lots of different modalities that work with the different parts inside ourselves. We can also, experiment by doing it through journaling to kind of talk to those parts. And I actually have a new book coming out next month called The Vitality Journal that's a companion to the Vitality Map. And in it, I have a practice in there to guide people through a process to actually be able to do it on your own because it can be hard. Like I said, sometimes we need the outside support of professionals or others to point the way to help
Yeah.
us address those shadows.
What do you think about hypnosis to get to the root of
Mhm.
that?
Yep. That's another modality. Yeah. Yeah, there's so many different access points. And the key to this is not just identifying them, but it's that embracing them too. So that when we get in touch with these parts of ourselves, we're able to turn towards them with compassion and care and acceptance.
Hmm.
Because it's that integration of them that allows them to soften and stop sort of acting in sideways ways that derail us from what it
Right,
is that is truly aligned for us.
right. Okay, what's the next one?
The next one is so key number 3 is strengthening your self-awareness muscles. And yeah, this one, again, basic life skill we weren't taught.
Right.
This one's an acknowledgement that we're receiving feedback all the time from our body and being that's telling us what supports our vitality and what's not. It's just we haven't necessarily learned the language of that feedback to understand the guidance that we're receiving. And so this key is acknowledging that, like, what if I bring a curiosity to come to understand and know more fully what is going on inside of me? What
Mhm.
are the impacts of the various choices I'm making when I eat a certain food, when I do a particular activity, with how I'm feeling at work? Like every part of our lives is fair game for this, to strengthen our awareness, to notice what happens when we make different choices and to actually learn to receive that feedback because it's a recognition, that so many of us, and this is part of the confusion, I think, in our self-care journeys, so many of us get all baffled and spun around by all the different new advice that's out there.
Yeah.
There's research coming out all the time that seems to contradict each other. New health fads, new things that you're supposed to be doing to have optimal health. And it's like it seems like it's changing every week,
Yes.
and everyone around us has their different opinions and advice and unless we anchor in and really cultivate our own self-awareness and our own self-knowing, we're just going to be spun around and be trying this and that and this and that, well, without really getting any real traction because each of us is unique. And so what works for each of us is going to be different. Like, all human beings have certain needs, but the way that we fulfill those needs are unique to each of us. And it's that awareness and that feedback that allows us to have the discernment around what to try for ourselves.
Right. I always say that, when we have symptoms in our body, so aches and pains or gut issues, I say all the time, this is your body's way of talking to you and saying, pay attention. Why am I feeling like this? Don't just ignore it or take a pill to mask it, but get to the root cause. Like, think back, what is it that I'm doing? What am I eating that causes me to get gas an hour after eating? Or why do I have all of these aches and pains? Well, think about what your diet looks like. So your body is always talking to you. We're not listening.
Right.
We just ignore it. And I feel like I'm getting too old. My body is this. It's not that you're getting too old, it's that you're not taking the right care of your body.
Hmm.
It's the way I feel about it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So all those symptoms, those are all the feedback.
Yes.
And it's like sometimes the ignoring can be one of those unconscious patterns, related to the shadows that I was just speaking to.
Yes.
And sometimes it's because we just haven't learned the language. It's like, we might acknowledge a symptom, but interpret it in a totally different way based on our own conditioning, that has nothing to do with what our body's actually trying to tell us.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
The next key.
So, key number 4 is cultivating resilience.
Okay.
And this one, yeah, is so vital. I mean, they're all vitally important. This one's so vitally important because resilience is about being able to guide ourselves back to a state of vitality and well-being, no matter what's happening in our lives, because there's no such thing as a stress-free life. And there's no such thing as a life that just doesn't change. Like life is change, and we do not have control over everything. And so we're going to be going along thinking we have our act together. We've dialed everything in that we know supports us. And then bam, something significant happens in our life. And it's like we get sideswiped and we have to find our way back. And so this key is about developing the skills and capacity, building on that awareness from
Hmm.
key number three, and purposefully developing the skills and capacity to feel empowered and skillful in guiding ourselves back into a state of grounded well-being, regardless of the craziness of the world around us or our lives, that we're navigating. So it can look a lot of different ways. In this chapter, I have a lot of different examples to sort of plant seeds for people of what they can explore. But it's coming from that place that we talked about in key number one, where if we really step in and fully own the honor and the responsibility of caring for our bodies, it's like, yeah, of course we're going to want to learn about different things we can do to help ourselves. And that might be, hiring a personal trainer or taking a nutrition class or signing up for a program that's gonna, yeah, teach me about mindfulness or meditation or, there's so many different things that we can do. But the underlying part of it is the orientation from where we're coming from. It's not, again, that self-care check off to-do list. It's like, oh, I'm curious. Like, I want to feel more empowered and knowledgeable about what it is I'm taking into my body to understand why I would want to eat these different foods, not just take someone else's recommendation for granted, but to really understand it.
Right. Yeah, that's important. Very important.
Yeah. Yeah, and also, with that, I just want to say, like, we don't need to become an expert in everything. Part of
Right.
this also is seeking out the supports that, yeah, will help us feel more empowered and skillful.
Hmm. Okay, next one.
Yeah. Well, next one is one of my favorites. So key number five is aligning with your yes. And
With your
this,
yes. Okay,
with
because
your
I didn't get
yes.
this far in the book. Okay.
Oh, okay. I think you'll enjoy this one. So aligning with your yes, and yes is like in capital letters with an exclamation point. So this one was really significant for me in my healing journey of recognizing that this wasn't being addressed in the supports that I was getting, but to acknowledge, each of us are unique. And what brings us each alive, what supports our vitality, is unique to each of us. So we need to look at where we're investing our life energy. Are we investing it in places where it's just like going down a big drain because it's actually not aligned for us? Or are we investing it in places where it's circling back and we're getting the returns, where it actually brings us more alive? And so this is every aspect of our lives. It's not just, what we think of as the self-care things of diet and exercise and sleep. This is about our relationships. This is about our work and service in the world. This is about how we parent others or grandparent others. This is about, yeah, are we, yeah, engaging in passions and hobbies and things that light us up? Every single choice is about this. So it's filling our own wells, choosing, and this is the hard part, is that aligning with your yes is also about saying no. So this key is really about having good boundaries and discernment. So
Yeah.
again, that self-knowing is so important. And I use an analogy in this key of pruning the tree of your life. So it's like if you think about pruning a fruit tree, it's like if you don't properly prune it, it's going to stop producing
Right.
fruit, right? And all the energy of the tree is going to go into those sucker branches that go straight up and don't produce anything. So it's like it's really important to prune skillfully, to let go of those things that aren't serving us, those leaky buckets where we're putting
Yes,
our
that's a great
energy.
analogy. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so then we get to blossom and bloom by being feeding our energy that's in an aligned way with what brings us vitally alive.
Yeah. Again, I think back to, women feeling like it's a luxury to do something like that. And,
Mm,
and so it's something, oh yeah, one day I'll get into it. No, it has to start right away, because this is how you become fulfilled. This is what brings you joy and happiness, and makes you feel good about yourself, instead of always just making other people feel good about themselves, which is fine to do, but you need to have that balance. And so something like this is really great. Like, I'm thinking about people who love to paint or love to have a hobby, and they've put it aside because of life's responsibilities.
mm,
And you need to make time for things like that for yourself. I love that.
yes. Yes. I just like every time I touch into this key, my heart just opens and my arms I
Yes,
go up like, yes. Like just to really feel, yeah. I mean, to me, that's like truly honoring your unique way.
absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, next key.
Yeah. So 6 is another favorite of mine. It's experimenting with playful curiosity. So this key is about acknowledging that for so many of us, our journey with taking care of ourselves is incredibly serious. And it can feel like a burden, it can feel like a pressure, like we're not living up to expectations. And so when we orient instead with experimenting with playful curiosity, it's like we take the lid off. It
Mhm.
becomes a journey of active learning. We try something out and see what happens. We learn from it. I'm like, oh, that didn't work so well. Let's try this instead. So rather than like those judgmental voices getting caught up in failure, it's more about learning and seeing how we go, and to do so with like that playful spirit. So many of us as adults, particularly midlife time, it's like there's so much, as we've been speaking to, that we're holding and that we're responsible for,
Mhm.
you know, and to actually bring some joy and playfulness into our lives as a whole and into how we're supporting our own well-being. So, like choosing some of those things that maybe we haven't been saying yes to and trying them out and just seeing what happens.
Right.
Yeah, and it creates a fluid, flexible way of moving through life. Because again, life is not rigid, things don't stay the same. If we
No.
allow ourselves to just keep trying new things and staying in that organic place of ongoing learning, no matter what our age is, we just keep getting to learn and try new things. It keeps adding new energy in life to
Yes.
how we're guiding ourselves.
We continue to grow. We
Yes,
continue to grow. And I'm thinking of brain health,
yes,
that's so key for us to be learning new things, new skills, new hobbies, and getting involved. And even if it's a social thing that you go to, it's physical and mental health.
yes.
I love that.
Mm,
Next key.
yes. Key number 7 is discovering easeful discipline. So I'll pause there because I think for so many of us, discipline is a word that immediately evokes like a tightening, a bracing, like, uh-oh, well, all that fun playfulness is over now, and now I need to like do the hard stuff that, the critical voices get going. And yeah, and the shame can be right there too of us not being disciplined, or there's something wrong with us for not being able to do it. So in this key, I outline an approach to actually make discipline feel easeful and
Mhm.
to have it be rooted again in that deeper commitment to having our own back, to doing what it takes to support our own thriving. And discipline's needed. Like habit changes take time to take root.
Yes.
Everyone has different opinions about how many weeks or months that.
21 days, I always, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I would say at least 21 days. Like, yeah, but it takes some time to get over that initial uncomfortable transition time. That's just part of it. And so discipline's required to kind of hold us through that uncomfortable transition until we get to the other side when the feedback's really clear
Mhm.
and then self-sustaining because it just feels good.
Right.
And Yeah, and so like the last key, experimenting with playful curiosity and the easeful discipline key go right together. So bringing that orientation of experimentation, active learning, we get clear about a commitment. We get clear about strategies. I go into a lot of detail in my book about this, but part of the getting clear about strategies is recognizing what we're calling obstacles or what keeps getting in the way, really looking at clear eyes at what those are and recognizing that those are often other needs we have. So it's not necessarily that there's something wrong with them or with us, but we might have some two different needs that are at play. And so
Hmm.
then with strategies, we learn to address both those needs so they're not polarized or put against each other.
Okay.
And then the last part is structures of support to actually, with people, with programs, with schedule, with reminders, we get really intentional around creating structures of support to help us create the change we're seeking.
And that's the last pillar.
No,
Oh,
those are all
oh,
part of
all part of
there's
that one.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, there's three
Gotcha.
parts to that key. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's two more keys.
Go
Shall I
ahead.
go
I'm
into them?
listening.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So key number 8 is inviting support and connection. And I can't emphasize this one enough. It's number 8, but it's what holds everything. And I think again, to talk about just the patterns for us women, and when we get into the midlife time, it's like I think it becomes even more starkly apparent, that we need to lean into others for support. We can't do it on our own.
No.
It's vitally important, and support can look a lot of different ways, from professional support to friends and family, but being really intentional about creating a team of support that no one person is the only one we lean into, that we have multiple people and potentially groups. I am a huge fan of group programs that
Yeah,
can.
I want to talk to you about that when we're finished with the keys, because I know that you have a program that you do that I want you to speak about as well. Yeah, I think that definitely having a community. I know for me as well, like I like to exercise. I'll go walking. I have my daughter's dog, so I walk her a lot. But I enjoy a yoga class where I know that at 7:30 tonight there's yoga and I go to the class and there's others in there and you get to meet the same people all the time and you create community and friendship, and I think that's so important. And I saw during COVID how being isolated affected so many people that I know personally, their mental health, like even my mom's friends and the elderly, they really had a decline in their mental health for being isolated and alone and not being around people. So I think community is on all levels is so important for us to really be involved with people. So that is a good key.
Yeah, we're relational creatures. We need
Yes.
each other. Yeah.
Yes. What's
Yeah.
the next one?
The last key is living like you matter.
Oh, I
And
love this one.
yes. Yeah, again, this feels like it brings it all together. And it's what we were speaking to earlier of living in a way that we recognize that we need to fill our own well. We need to take care of ourselves as the first priority so that we can show up with the unique gifts and capacities that we're here to bring, so that we have the energy and excitement and desire to really care for and tend to those around us, whether it's our close in family, our communities, our world, with the care that we desire to extend. And so living like you matter is really like anchoring in first and foremost, like you matter, each of us matters. And it's not serving anyone to put yourself second or last.
Right,
It's no one else but each of us is here to take care of this particular body and being. So we got to prioritize this first and then show up for others.
right.
Yeah.
I agree. I love this. I can't wait to finish reading the book because I absolutely love it. Tell me about your groups that you do, because you're a coach as well.
Yes. Yeah, I have virtual groups as well as in-person retreat-based programs. So right now, I recently launched my Vital You program. It's a 9-month retreat-based program for 8 women where we gather together 4 times in those 9 months for retreats, and then there's virtual support in between. And it's held with the 9 keys we just went through as a deeper journey in community. And like I was saying before, I'm just such a huge fan of the depth of the healing that happens when we're in community where we're holding each other and there's that mutuality and witnessing and
Mhm.
support and being on that shared journey over the 9 months.
Right.
I also have right now a virtual program for women in midlife in the menopausal transition time, and that program still has a couple spaces in it. It's an ongoing group. And then I have other programs that are on the horizon for the fall and winter. So I'm constantly creating group containers. That's my main passion
I
because I
love that. I love that.
yeah.
So I could, all of that information I could put in the show notes. Your website, will your website have all that
Yes,
information?
my website will
Okay,
have all that.
great.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great. Okay, yeah, I love the work that you're doing. So leave us with a final thought.
Mm. Yeah, I think what's coming up is I just so want all of us women, to really find that deeper connection with ourselves where we get in an embodied way that we matter and to find what it is to align with our yes and really honor this unique life that we are. Like yeah, I'm so passionate about that for all of us, and
I
it's
think,
needed for our world too.
yes.
Yeah.
And I think anyone who reads your book will really learn a lot from that in itself because it's riveting. Like as soon as I started reading it last night, I was like, oh my
Mhm.
God, I was up to 1:30 in the
Yeah.
morning. And I've
Thank
been reading
you.
it for the last couple of hours. So it's really, really good. And I
Mm.
love the work that you're doing. And I'm so glad that you came on today. And I'd love to have you come back on again because you have a new book coming out, right?
I do, yeah, next month. It's a companion journal. So it takes the vitality map and it puts it right into practice with lots of prompts and practices to engage with in your own
So
personal journey.
where can my audience get your book, The Vitality Map? I saw it on
Yeah.
Amazon.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. You can order it through any bookstore.
Okay.
Yeah, it's also on Audible and Apple Books. And yeah, and then the journal, it's not in the pre-order stage yet. It will be very soon. So if folks want to be the first to find out about it, you can just come to my website and sign up for my email list
Oh,
and
great.
I'll be sure
I'm
to.
going to sign up as well. Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Deborah. It was so nice to meet you. I love the work that you're doing. And please come back again.
I will. I really enjoyed this conversation,
So did
Susan.
I. Thank
Thank
you.
you so
It's very
much.
valuable. Have a good rest of your day. I'm
You
just
too.
going to